Hey everyone, it's Kong again, back in action with a regular episode of Should You Summon. As always, of course, I'll be presenting high-level overviews to help you decide whether this banner is worth your hard-earned vouchers and crystals. As I've been mentioning for the past couple months, we're now knee-deep in a series of must-summon banners, and this is no exception. This week's update gives us Lightbringer, and the character Zilong has hilariously just kept the Google Translate name for Adankelmo. The banner will run for the duration of the monthly update from December 1st to the 28th. As with every new character launch, it's a normal rate-up banner, so you have a 40% chance to get either featured hero, with the remaining 20% reserved for award-winning complaints in my comments section. First up, we've got Lightbringer. Lightbringer is the post-time skip Langrisser Mobile Act 3 original version of Elma from Langrisser Reincarnation Tensei. She's an int-based tank who has some built-in buff removal protection. Her talent gives her up to 25% damage reduction and a revive to 50% HP. After taking action, she gains up to 3 stacks of an int-boosting buff that gets prioritized when someone hits her with buff removal. Unlike Rosenseal, this isn't a team effect, but the tank is usually the person you really want to protect the buffs on anyway. Her 3-cost skill is quite a combo of tanking utility effects, but mainly it's her extended guard skill and a kind of semi-faction buff. It passively makes her immune to displacement, curse of wounding, and heal reversal. It also has a command aura that gives nearby allies 20% crit chance protection, and gives nearby holy allies 10% defense. When she activates the skill, she adds 15% of her int to her defense and her magic defense, gets 2 range counter, and gives all holy allies on the map basic faction buff stat boosts, so 20% attack, int, and defense, and 30% magic defense. Her unique 1-cost skill removes 2 debuffs from herself, adds 2 random immunity buffs, and tops her up with 2 more talent stacks. She also has a 2-range magical attack that gets a boost to damage dealt for every dead ally. She's a member of Mythical Realm, buffed by Gizaroth and the Sage of the Trees, Protagonists, buffed by Matthew and Emperor Lovina, and Legion of Glory, buffed by Ledin, Elwyn, and Grenier. For bonds, she doesn't unlock anyone else's bonds yet. She does need Emperor Lovina for her own defensive bond, and Saint of the Ark for her attack bond, and both of those bonds are very important for her. For content, in PvE, she's on faction for Phoenix and Scylla in the Eternal Temple, and technically for Hugin and Munin and Fenrir in Ancient Beckoning. She's not on any of the top-scoring meta teams for Ancient Beckoning, but she could be a useful faction-agnostic core tank for a general-purpose PvE team. The only thing is her bond requirements aren't the most noob-friendly. For PvP, as a tank and a faction buffer-ish, she's already a solid unit that can fit into every box. What pushes her above and beyond is that she can actually also contribute damage. Her unique ranged attack gets a damage boost for every dead ally, meaning she can turn into a threatening carry unit later in Apex matches. Okay, that was a tank Elmo, so let's move on to Adankelmo. The ridiculously Google-translated Adankelmo, who already appears in the game as, variously, Annie and Yani. She's a strong magical DPS with both single-target and AoE options, and an interesting teleportation mechanic. Her talent gives her a passive plus 30% damage boost. After she takes action, she can set her portals on 2 tiles on the map. As long as her portals are active, she gets plus 2 unit range. The portals themselves have 2 effects. First, any enemy who ends turn close to one of the portals gets a debuff. Second, and more importantly, any ally who ends turn on one of the portals gets teleported to the other portal. This is a helpful but kind of clunky transportation method, unless you're a unit with an Act Again type skill like Chivalry that technically ends your turn, then lets you start another action from the other portal. Suddenly, entire teams can cross great distances. Incidentally, her 3-cost skill passively makes her one of those units. If she ends her turn on a portal without attacking, she gets to act again. When used actively, her 3C is an AoE centered either on her or one of her portals that does damage, inflicts debuffs, and makes enemies who end their turn near the portals get even more debuffs than usual. She also has Black Hole, and a unique Reaper-like single target skill that gets increased damage dealt if you're near a portal, heals you a chunk of the damage dealt, and lets you move a couple spaces after attacking. She's a member of Mythical Realm, buffed by Gizaroth and the Sage of the Trees, Strategic Masters, buffed by Altemuller and Lanford, and Yeless Legends, buffed by Landius and Sigma. For bonds, she unlocks the defensive bond for the upcoming new Strategic Masters faction buffer, Grenshiel. For her own bonds, she needs Archon of the Moon for her defensive bond, and Lostum for her attack bond. For content in PvE, she's on faction for Phoenix in the Eternal Temple, and technically for Fenrir, Sleipnir, and Needhog in Ancient Beckoning. She did make a brief appearance on a top-scoring team for Fenrir, although she doesn't appear in others, so the current Chinese meta may still be in flux. She's not important enough for that battle for that to single-handedly make her worth summoning. Like any unit with unique mechanics though, she could come in handy for some potential PvE cheese involving her portals, or for some challenge or something like that down the line. She does seem to be more of a PvP-focused unit. She has a couple of weaknesses though. She needs a turn of setup to get her portals ready, so she's not the fastest into the action. Her gimmick being tile-dependent is also a vulnerability. While her portals have priority for now, at least one upcoming unit is going to be able to remove them from the map entirely. So she can have her time in the sun for an AoE rush box or a box that takes advantage of a lot of Act Again springboard attacks, but as a pure mage, she's still competing for a box slot with the likes of Lucretia. Alright, let's move along to the notes for noobs. Lightbringer is a powerful tank and pseudo-faction buffer, especially useful in Apex Arena. She can also be a good general-purpose PvE tank, but like I said, her bonds aren't exactly noob-friendly. If you PvP, I'd say she's a must-summon. If you're a PvE-only player, I would say don't be upset if you do get a copy of her. Adankelmo is a solid, unique mage who has some great general-purpose potential and can be a strong conditional threat in Apex Arena. Her days in the sun may be numbered, but she'll always find a place in a specific kind of box. You'll probably get her while summoning for Lightbringer anyway, and Lightbringer is definitely the star of this banner, but I'd say Annie is worth summoning as well. Finally, just my usual reminder about upcoming banners. We're now deep into the danger zone for our hard-earned vouchers and crystals. The next major update in late December is the 4.0 anniversary event featuring the launch of the powerful new Zerida and the new Lucretia. SP Matthew is also coming out with that update, so that's another 4,000 crystals we're going to want to set aside. Next up in this update, we should be getting a skippable raid-up banner featuring Ilusha and the first return of Caroline. The week after that, we should be getting a Destiny banner with Kaguya, Claret, and Rosenseal. Finally, the recurring Destiny banners for the final week should be Rachel, Lana, and Tiaras, and Hilda, Knight of Mystery, and Rainforce. Anyway, that's it for this episode, so let us know on the Discord or in the comments below what kind of luck you had summoning these characters, or which one you want the most. I actually ended up with a pretty sizable stockpile thanks to getting extremely lucky on my Gintama summons. So I may try to push my luck and get multiple copies of Lightbringer. I guess we'll see how it goes in the summoning video. Thank you so much for watching, I wish you all the best of luck, and I will catch you in the next Should You Summon. Extra special thanks, of course, to our Langrisser tier channel members for generously supporting the channel directly. So that means you, Levitt, Derek, Kate Soon, Jared Portela, Jerome Meyer, Shara Ilimirius, and Harambe. Thank you so much for your support.